Good morning, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you to the webinar Overview of Funding Opportunities and Procurement for Ukrainian Healthcare, organized by the Sweecare Foundation. And my name is Anastasia Flanagan, and I will be moderating this webinar. To open our webinar, I would like to welcome the CEO of Sweecare Foundation, Maria Helling. Welcome, Maria.
Thank you, Anna. I'm very happy to be here today, and I would just like to wish you all a warm welcome. This is the second webinar we arranged in this series, and there's been a great interest from the Swedish side, and I think from many, both organizations, companies, and public agencies, and that I think is very important and makes us, of course, very happy when we arrange these. I represent an organization called Sweecare Foundation. And our mission is to support international collaboration and internationalization of the Swedish healthcare and life science sectors. Since a few months back, since May, we have this project aiming at supporting sustainable healthcare in Ukraine. And the webinar is, of course, part of that project. And we have a lot of things on our agenda for these coming months. So please check it out and join us in other activities. When it comes to Ukraine, aside of being a country at war, we see that it has been a country of astonishing progress given this background. Despite the disruptions, it's shown great resilience in continuing with the progressive healthcare system reform that is ongoing. And an overview of that with an angle on procurement will be provided here today by our three excellent speakers. And I'm very much looking forward to listening to them. So with that, I'll pass on to Petra Andersson Erhardy, who is counselor at the Swedish Embassy in Kiev, Ukraine. Please, Petra.
Thank you so much, Maria, and hello, by the way. I think we have met in other contexts. And hello, everyone. I'm very happy to be here again to attend my second seminar. And for those of you who participated last time, you already know I'm a relative newcomer to the embassy. I've now been here for 2 weeks, and as my Ukrainian colleagues know, these weeks have been tough in the sense that there has been quite intense Russian air attacks on Ukraine. Nevertheless, like Ukrainian institutions, the embassy continues to operate normally. And I've had the opportunity to hold introductory meetings with a number of companies, including in the healthcare sector, and I have promoted this seminar, and I hope to meet more of these companies. And I will repeat a little bit of what I said last time for newcomers to the seminar. Our work is guided by the government strategy for Sweden's Recovery and Reform Cooperation with Ukraine for 2023 to 2027. And this is the largest ever bilateral development strategy. It allocates more than €500 million in support for Ukraine for that period. And as I mentioned, the overarching aim is to contribute to Ukraine's EU integration, and in doing so, doing it in a way that it's really adjusted to Ukraine's own needs and priorities. The healthcare sector is mentioned in the strategy, and it is indeed a priority for our trade promotion work here in the section. A, because it's an area where Swedish companies have a competitive advantage, and B, because many companies are already here. They have established themselves on the Ukrainian market, which is another strong advantage, of course. A bit about our setup. As I mentioned last time, we are here, we're present on the ground. We have also a team, the Business Sweden team here that is growing. They have recently opened an office, and in Stockholm we have, of course, Sweecare and the ministry, and we have a newly appointed special envoy for reconstruction, business promotion, and development. He just assumed his function this week. His name is Ulrik Tidström, and he will be based in Stockholm, but most likely travel here quite frequently. So it means we all stand ready to provide support to Swedish companies. And I want to again thank the organizers for this event, and I'm wishing you all a fruitful discussion. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Petra, and thank you. With that, I would like to invite our first speaker to take the floor. The first speaker is Iryna Gorlova. She is the CEO of SMD. SMD is an analytical agency which was created in 2003. What it does is provide market research and consulting services, high-quality information to governments, manufacturers, distributors, and NGOs. They have been very important in supporting the Ukrainian healthcare reform with information. So welcome, Iryna.
Thank you so much, dear colleagues. Thank you, Anastasia. First of all, I would like to start with a really deep appreciation of all types of support that we receive from your side, from the side of all our partners all over the world. Let me share my screen, and we prepared a presentation about the how the general situation is looking like. Do you see my screen now, Anastasia?
Yes, we do, and you can activate the presentation mode, I think.
Just a moment.
Almost.
Yeah. Does it work? Okay.
Yes, now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. The aim of my presentation is to show a little bit, briefly explain the overall situation in pharmaceutical market, in healthcare and pharmaceutical market, because it is totally connected, and for sure one cannot exist without another. Let me start with the general thoughts we should keep into attention before we will speak about the market. First of all, the country is in the middle of the war, which is understandable, and the following directions are important. First of all, it is population. We have declined population, but not because of the age or disease, but because of refugees, and we have a lot of internally displaced people. We speak now in million, which is really shock, because it's approximately from 8 to 11 million people left their houses, and approximately 6 million people they moved inside the country, which is really a lot of affects a lot the whole market. We have a demographic shift, which brings to this the situation when men prevails, elder population is here. A lot of young women with children, they left the country. So of course, gynecology and pediatric direction in the market dropped. And here we still have children of school age, and versus a small number of young children. I would like to point out important thing which come to my mind when I prepare this presentation about family system stability. Because when a part of the family left the country, a part is in a combat zone, there is a lot of divorces and a lot of things happening from emotional side. What questions arise when we speak about population? First of all, how many from those who left the country will return? We calculate demand for certain pharmaceuticals and medical devices based on population and demography, of course. We know that it's already 2.5 years, and many of people who left the country, especially if they are young and well educated, they are already incorporated in other industries all over the world. For example, according to Deloitte, approximately 4% of GDP of Poland is already because of Ukrainian refugees. Good it or bad it, we live in such circumstances. We should took it into consideration. From the side of economy, of course, war brings horrible damages of infrastructure, and we have direct and indirect losses calculated by the Ministry of Finance and Kyiv School of Economy, approximately 600 billion, both. It is a huge, huge amount. GDP dropped -20 in the first war year, but thanks God it grew plus 10% in 2023, and still it is growing, but it is still behind before the war figures, of course. Ukraine labor market express challenges because from one side there are not that many propositions of labor. From another side, we have shortage of people highly educated. And of course, important thing is health. Thousands of wounded, inquired, civilians and militaries, disabled military people, and questions of rehabilitation, prosthetics, treatment of neuropathic pain, mental health of nation is a key, and it is strategical issue we should keep in our attention. Amazing that during almost during 1,000 days of the war, Ukraine show unexpected and enormous resilience in all spheres of life. Life is going on, and the reform of healthcare system is here. It had been launched many years before, and it has a couple of important directions. The basics of everything is digitalization of the healthcare sphere. It is e-health, which brings for the moment the most of key records of healthcare professionals, e-prescriptions, agreements, etc., digitalized. Without this basic keystone, all the rest will not be possible. The next part is reform of public procurement. In centralized direction, it have been switched from Ministry of Health, how it have been for many, many years, first to the foreign agencies, and then to newly created Central Procurement Agency, Medical Procurement of Ukraine. Katya will speak after me, and it is unbelievably successful example of launching of such agency. The second part of public procurement is decentralized direction, which means budgets of clinics themselves. We have a Prozoro website, Prozoro platform, which is mandatory for all procurements now, which means that it is transparent, clear, and understandable. Essential medicines list is mandatory for clinic procurement, which means that essential medicines should be procured primarily the first term. The next step is Prozoro Market, which is online shop, I would say, have been launched, and it is mandatory for all procurements. For first of all, for essential medicine procurements, and the next is for all the rest of procurement. The next important directions is National Health Service stream. We heard last time our colleague from NHSU. I will briefly underline what is important to see versus the pharmaceutical market. First of all, reimbursement. It is young reimbursement. It is not advanced that much. It is emerging, I would say, not mature. It has been launched in 2017. Started with the three nosologies like cardiovascular mainly, and now it grew up to 76 INNs, medical devices, and 14 directions, which is really very good. And one more thing is packages of medical guarantees that has reference to the clinic treatment and out of clinic treatment of our patients, which guarantee treatment free of charge, treatment of certain nosologies. For the moment in 2024, we have 48 of them, which is great, I guess. Of course, on top of that, we have price regulation. It's a different topic, but it's important. It keeps prices under control for public procurement, and full HTA agency have been introduced, and it is starting to work here very actively. What we can see from the point of view of pharmaceutical market, all these healthcare reforms, they have effect on the pharma market, and you can see how the part of public procurement, despite the intervention, despite of COVID, we should keep in mind that COVID is still has a huge influence on the health. Despite the full-scale war, we have a huge piece of public procurement done through different segments. For the moment, retail out-of-pocket segment in the first half of the year made 65%, which is great for post-Soviet countries and very nice. The first half of the year is traditionally the public procurement done in more extent than the second half of the year. But if we will see a long-term dynamic from 2013 until today, we can see that retail made in 2013 almost 90%, which means 90% of all medicines have been procured by patients. And today we have 71%, which is much more better. First of all, 7% of everything done by reimbursement. It is not that much, but it is promising, and we should take into account that the Ukrainian market is undeveloped from the point of view of diagnostic and treatment of widespread diseases. Centralized procurement through CPA, through MPU, is 6%, and huge part done through clinics procurements in different ways. One is through tenders, it is 5%, and through Prozoro market, it is 12%. By the way, Prozoro market is mandatory since last year, and you can see a huge progress during this period. Let me show you the overall picture. According to results of MAT, June, which means moving annual total the whole year up to June, the total market made 1.7 billion euro in purchase prices without VAT. We should keep it in mind that it is the lowest level of prices. Of course, it is much lower than it was in 2020. 2 billion. It's only medicines. We speak about medicines. Market grew in euro plus 22 and in volume plus 15. We should keep in mind, first of all, we put here compound average growth rate, which means average growth during the last 4 years. You can see that units is negative, but values is positive. We should keep in mind that we have almost minus 30% of population in the country. That means comparing to this situation, market is growing despite the effect of war. Local companies are extremely successful on the market. They made 41% in value and 74% in volume. Of course, they have more cheaper products, and it is traditional generic products from the Soviet period of time. We mark them in green. You can see that the 4 top position is set by local companies, and they are successful. From other side, multinational companies are successful due to 2 different directions. First one is public procurement. Like, for example, Pfizer, MSD, they are extremely successful in public procurements. From the other side, AstraZeneca grew tremendously. You can see that CAGR for AstraZeneca is double-digit due to participation in a reimbursement program, which is really bravo in such period of time. Assortment changed tremendously. We put here two periods before war, 2021, and the first half of 2024, just to show the difference in the picture. First of all, anti-neoplastic. Let me start from the beginning. War-related assortment. It is understandable that it is here, and it grows, and it took serious position. It is anti-inflammatory, analgesics, intravenous solutions. We have no opportunity now to speak about medical devices, but we can share information about medical devices. It is the growth is even bigger than for medicines, and of course for war-related assortment like orthopedia and surgery, etc. From other side, you can see here the examples of influence of the reform. Anti-neoplastics set the first position with the positive growth both in units and values. It happened due to Central Procurement Agency, their efforts to buy middle range prices, but very good basic anti-neoplastic products. From other side, you can see that the last and the least, but not the least, anti-asthma products, they have unbelievable evolution and performance. It happened due to reimbursement program. It is included into the reimbursement program, and during 3 years, it grew the position twice, from 30, from 29, until 15, up to 15. Let me show top INN's molecules on the market. They are, I would say, self-speaking. And we put here the picture. What is the source of procurement? Is it centralized procurement, decentralized, or out of pocket? What is the coverage of these medicines? You can see that first position is sodium chloride, which is widespread due to the war, and it grew up huge during this period. It happened due to decentralized procurement. From other side, amazing example, budesonide and formoterol. It is number 16. I on purpose put it additionally in order to show you an example. It grew due to reimbursement. Alteplasa, expensive product, very important product. It is 100% procured decentralized through Prozora market and grew tremendously. And you can see, for example, immunoglobulin and enoxaparin, which grew coverage from the public side. And really, it is very good results, I would say. It doesn't mean that we do not have here bottlenecks, a lot, of course. But we work on that, and we will work on that further. Couple of words about retail market and wholesalers, just to have overall picture. We have the number of point of sales in Ukraine. It was 20,000 before the war, and now it is roughly 17,000. We have a huge concentration of the pharmaceutical chains, and they becoming important player on the market with a huge market power, dictating their rules all over the places. As a result, you can understand that they negotiate special conditions from the manufacturers on the market. The biggest, you can say that it is already has more than 2,000 point of sales, which is huge. Still, they are operating under different brands, which is, is a stage of market development itself. It is like a group of companies with one marketing and one purchase center with the different brands. But the next will be, I guess, they will change brands. Couple of words about wholesalers on the market. Retail market traditionally has high concentration of wholesalers. It was a situation before the war, but for the moment, the cumulative share of top 3 wholesalers, actually speaking two, dropped from 85 in 2021 up to 74 this year. It happened because of the war and because of the changing of situation among wholesalers. The small wholesalers, they took an opportunity and grew their sales. Together with the direct procurements of chains, they are becoming wholesalers by themselves. And we have a lot of direct distribution from directly from manufacturers. If we will speak about public procurement, the situation is different. Consolidation is not yet here, but it is steadily going ahead. Direct retail wholesalers are not strong in a public procurement. Only STM, which is a subsidiary of Badam, sets the first position. But as well, there are a lot of direct distribution from manufacturers. And you can see here Procurement, which is the state wholesaler, now owned by MPU. I guess Katerina will tell a few words about that. To summarize everything, market recovers in volume and value, thanks God. State compensate almost 30% of all medicines. We should take into consideration that the prices, the growth of the prices in retail versus public procurements is totally different, because prices in public procurements are under control and grew up to 10% for all this period. Versus retail prices, they have more than 30% of growth, which is understandable. Local pharma has strong market position and rather good portfolio, including essential medicines and from time to time substituting important global brands. Healthcare reform results really promising. Strong participation of state in procurements, aim to cover essential and socially important medicines really is brilliant. Despite being young, reimbursement program show a good performance in the most of therapeutical categories. Couple of categories need to be discussed, and first of all, ministry and all entities and the projects are doing a lot in that. Price regulation bring good results. War-related assortment. What is important to know for all companies and to keep in mind that the market picture changed tremendously. It is no longer the market oriented to treat social elderly connected diseases like cardiovascular, like stroke, whatever, but it has a huge piece now of war-related problems connected to operations, transfusions, prosthetics, mental health, rehabilitation, and a lot of other things. We could put it in a list and discuss later additionally. Next steps of healthcare reform will foresee the further harmonization with the European legislation, which is already done a lot, further digitalization, connection of all different registers, etc., together in order to have one unique digital space for making a management solution. Future of the market and future of the country, of course, it depends on social political situation. But we believe that the war will be over very soon. We pray for the victory and hope that it will happen soon. And we look already forward for the recovery. Finalizing my presentation, I would like to share with you a poetry I found yesterday, and it shocked me, being honest, with the words, the main idea, do not doubt, go ahead, do not stop yourself. even if you are absolutely into Dutch or in your own blood. Thank you so much for attention. We will be happy to answer the questions and to provide with additional information on the market, on the healthcare segment. As Anastasia told, we are closely connected and work with the most of authorities. They use our data, and we are happy to be a part of reform team and really invest our efforts, knowledges for prosperity of our country. Thank you so much. I will give a floor to the next speaker, and I guess we will have questions later on. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Iryna, and thank you for the excellent presentation, and thank you for this personal and emotional touch at the end. We have a couple of, I will check now, we have a couple of questions from before. One question here was if they can get your presentation later on, and we promised that so that we'll be able to share. Thank you very much. And then I had a question here about what's your predictions for the future of the market, but you answered that partly, actually. So the second one was...
Anastasia, sorry, let me add a little bit, because
Please.
it's a very important question from auditorium. See, the prediction is the following. As I told, we have emerging market. If we speak in terms of IMS IQVIA, we have emerging and mature markets. Ukraine is emerging in all senses. It is really the biggest important therapeutical areas which are developed in other countries here are not developed due to different reasons. For example, I will make you one example. Valproic acid, a product for treatment of epilepsy. We have the size of the market 16 times less than Poland, which is amazing. And from other side, it is promising because if we will develop diagnostic and treatment and following to the treatment by the patients, and of course public procurements which will help them to make economy of the funds, the market will grow by itself. That is just one example. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. And then there is another question here, because we see that in Ukraine there is a significant portion of procurement or purchase is made in retail. Also, the private sector is really strong, like private healthcare institutions. For our visitors or for our listeners who represent companies that maybe want to enter the Ukrainian market, want to present their products, would you generally say that it's a good idea to cooperate with private institutions, or should they maybe only focus on state-owned and municipal medical centers?
It depends, first of all, on portfolio. We can help with advices on that. We have in our data as well purchases of private institutions. Really, it's a very good point, because as soon as the war will end, I guess private institutions will have a lot of power here, because population it has by themselves a high trust to a private healthcare industry. But in order to be short, you should keep a balance depending on your portfolio between both public and private sectors. And according to our estimation, procurements of private healthcare institutions, they made approximately 10 to 11% of the market additionally on top of what we have seen, which is a lot. We work on that in order to have more precise picture, but in the meantime, we work with the biggest oncological, biggest IVF clinics in Ukraine. By the way, IVF is another direction. We have a very good legislation about that. And this topic is really important now in terms of war, in terms of willingness of people to have children, despite the fact of what is the consequences of the war. So, yeah, that is brief answer.
Thank you very much, Iryna. And those are really excellent points. And presentation was fantastic. And thank you for your answers.